Katina Holland, the founder and CEO of Wear It Well, known as Wear It Well Incorporated. Wear It Well is a nonprofit organization that promotes healthy communities. Overall, we serve men, women, and children, regardless of race, color, or creed. And the way we serve the individuals is through educational programs. So our goal is to inspire, motivate, and educate those that we serve, from cancer survivors to our kids enrichment after school program. My background is pretty much healthcare, communications. It's kind of been broad, but one of the main things that I've learned throughout my career is how to execute a plan and how to help someone in need if there is a need. So that's pretty much in a nutshell, what Wear It Well is and who I am.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you're well equipped to give some good advice to these girls.
Well, I hope so.
So you're going to be inspiring many, many girls with this interview, as I'm sure you already have with Wear It Well. So can you talk about who your inspiration's been? I know you started it with your grandmother, right?
Absolutely. So without hesitation, my maternal grandmother, who I call my best friend, my ride or die, my everything, she is my greatest inspiration for doing Wear It Well. And also my paternal grandmother, they both kind of just, had this drive and this stamina within to help other people regardless. And the biggest lesson I learned from my greatest inspiration, my grandmother, is to never always have your hand out, asking for something, but have it out, to give someone a hand up to help someone else along the way. So that's my biggest inspiration, is actually both my grandmothers.
Wow, that's a great phrase to live by. And I see on your shirt, "Love the skin you're in."
Yes.
Can you talk about how you started that slogan for Wear It Well?
So Love the Skin You're In is actually one of our programs for Wear It Well. It stemmed from my niece. I had a niece who was 14, committed suicide probably about 5 years ago. And with Wear It Well serving men, women, and children, we were trying to figure out a way to incorporate the kids, because at that point we didn't have the Bridge, which is our after school program. And God pretty much dropped in my spirit, love the skin you're in. I was speaking to one of my sisters when Wear It Well was about to be launched, and she had a shirt on, a t-shirt that said, "Own the skin you're in." And I was like, I like that. That's very inspirational. And so once we developed the program, which is surrounded around bullying, self-confidence, diversity, inclusion, we teach life skills and just kind of give an overall boost of confidence. So I tweaked it a little bit and said, "Love the skin you're in," to put that message out there, whether you're kids, whether you're adults, that it's not okay for anyone to bully us or to speak ill of us. But what's more important is us knowing who we are, more importantly, whose we are, but to love the skin you're in regardless. If you had to cut your hair, or if you look different, just because you're different, it doesn't mean you're less than anyone else. So that's why we proudly proclaim love the skin you're in. That's one of our biggest things that we push at Wear It Well.
That's great. I'm really sorry about your niece, but it's wonderful you did something about it.
Thank you.
So, as you know, as an entrepreneur, there are definitely highs and lows. So,
Absolutely.
Can you talk about the most disappointing or difficult part of entrepreneurship that maybe you weren't expecting, but also the most rewarding part?
So the most difficult thing I'll say with entrepreneurship is, I think a lot of times we start out wanting to start our business, and you expect everything to be perfect. And if you ask for a loan, you expect to get it. If you ask for support, you expect to get it. But one of the most important things I've learned, on the downside is that's not true. That's not so. Not for all of us. It may be for some. So the most disappointing thing is, I'll say, is like the first huge grant that I worked on. I had gotten my mentor helping me, and and then I'm like, and she was like, "Oh, y'all are sure to get this funding. We've been seeing what you do in the community, different things." And then when I got the rejection, it was like, what happened? What went wrong? And of course, I've learned since then, that's been a couple of years back, that you don't stop there. Just because you're disappointed, just because you don't get what you need or what you want, that doesn't necessarily, delayed doesn't mean denied. That's what I'll say as far as the downside. Now, the most rewarding thing for me is to see the actual change in the individuals we serve, whether it's a 14-year-old girl in a school who's being bullied that's now got that confidence when we revisit and go, I don't care about what people think about me anymore. I love who I am. I love the skin I'm in. That's the most rewarding. Or to see a cancer survivor who we've done a makeover on come in and who was suicidal or, giving up, didn't have that will to live, come back and say, not only did I make it through, but I want to volunteer with Wear It Well. I want to share my story. I want to pay it forward. So that's the most rewarding thing, is to see the fruit of your labor. As an entrepreneur, that you're not just, making money and giving a product or service, you're ultimately making a difference. And that's the thing that I live by, and that's most rewarding for me.
I bet. I can't even imagine the transformations you get to see. So
Yeah.
is there one particular moment or person that you've helped that was like the most rewarding or the most satisfying in your career?
We've had so many, but if I have to pick one, and I have used this example, and she actually recently passed away a few months ago, but 2 or 3 years ago, we did a makeover on a female who was a cancer survivor. She had battled, 6 or 7 different cancers over a 20+ year lifespan. And she had resorted to, keeping her head bald, because she kept saying, there's no need to let it grow. I'm going to be going through chemo again. Not really fixing up as far as the makeup, the lashes, but very beautiful person inside and out. Always had a will to help others, to go above and beyond. But the most rewarding thing for me with this makeover and this individual is her hair was brownish, naturally curls. So the stylist, I sent him a photo of what her hair used to look like, years ago when she had this curly brunette look. He custom made a wig to look almost identical to her hair. Of course, the makeup artist, when you have professionals working, I've even been amazed with the things they can do. So with drawing the brows on, putting on the mink eyelashes, these are the words that makes this makeover stand out amongst the rest. And I get emotional, talking about it and thinking about it. But she said these words. She said, I never thought I would ever say these words again, but I love my hair. And the thing about it was, she wasn't that person, like I said, that was going to wear the wig every day and do this and that. But to hear her say those words, because she was just like, I don't know about a wig. I don't know about the makeup. I don't know about the manicure. And she was receptive and accepted it. But to hear those words, to hear a cancer survivor and warrior say, I didn't think I would ever say this again, but I love my hair, and so that was very rewarding and probably the most memorable makeover for me.
I can see why. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So on the flip side again, when you do face the tough times, how do you handle setbacks and get through them?
I'll tell you, one of the main things for setbacks is I use them as momentum. For every no, I get hyped up and go, okay, I got to get at least 2 to 3 yeses. So it gives me a drive to, look at other revenues. Like if somebody says, no, y'all can't host this event in the park, you're going to be talking about bullying. We don't want to cause ruckus. So you don't stop there. Okay, go to another park or to an open field. That's the thing. It's as an entrepreneur, you're going to have a lot of brick walls that you hit, because you got to think you're stepping out on faith. You're stepping out, you're doing your own thing. So you have to have the mindset of anything is possible. You have to have the mindset of, if this one says no, let me ask 10 more. I got to get me one yes, at least. So that's the big thing, is to keep pushing, and don't give up. And the main thing is you got to know your why, and you got to believe that with everything that's in you, because that's what's going to keep you in the times like now when you're in the middle of a pandemic and you don't have the funding, you may not have the support of the community and amongst the other things. But when you know your why, nothing can stop you from pushing forward as an entrepreneur.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So That was one great piece of advice. Can you give 2 or 3 other skills that you think are necessary to be a successful entrepreneur?
In order to be successful as an entrepreneur, I'll say I have some notes here. My top 3 things would be you have to be dedicated. That's anything, whether you're an advocate for a certain cause, whether you're a school official, you've got to be dedicated, meaning fighting, tooth and nail. You're going to stand for this. You're going to back this, and you're going to do what it takes to get it done. The next one I'll say is always be teachable. I always say that with being an entrepreneur and running a business and mainly a nonprofit, I've learned from a 9-year-old or a 90-year-old, or even in between, that there's no one person that knows it all. So always be teachable. And then my final one is persistent, or consistency. You can't work today, then, tomorrow take a break and think that things are going to still continue to go. You got to work this thing 24/7, sun up to sundown at times when people are playing and doing other things. As an entrepreneur, your mindset has to be, I'll work hard and I'll play later.
Thank you for those. Those are all great. I hope everyone takes it to heart.
Thank
So,
you.
how do you address gender and diversity in your workplace and as an entrepreneur?
So in the workplace, altogether, we push diversity like on every end. Like I said, whether it's an older person, a younger person, a man, a woman, white, Black, Asian, our volunteer database is so diverse because we literally accept anyone. There's no, oh, you're 5 years old, you can't work the snow cone stand, or you're 90, you can't mow the yard. That's how I handle it here in the workplace. And as a whole, as an entrepreneur, even if I've been in situations where I felt, I was racially, I don't know, they were racially biased, or because I was a female, this was a guy entrepreneur, we may do this or that. The way I handle it is, I accept it for what it is, but I also stand for what I believe. I don't take down, or like I've said, I've had people even say, I would fund, like to donate or do funds for this company, but y'all serve men. I think men should be able to stand on their own and do their own thing. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I've seen men who've lost their jobs. I've seen men who are single fathers, just like I've seen single mothers, and the list goes on and on. And then I think in my mind, there's no way I can turn down this man or not assist him because 1 or 2 or however many people won't support this mission and this vision. So diversity is a big thing that we push. Diversity inclusion, you'll see that all over most everything we do with Wear It Well, because it's not about Black, white, male, female, whether your sex orientation, whether you choose to do whatever, your religion, none of that. We bash all of it at the door, and we come together as one and try to make this thing work.
That's a great mindset to have and to follow. Thank you for sharing. So, did you know when you started Wear It Well, did you know you wanted to start it as a nonprofit, or did it start as a business you wanted to make money with, or how did you start?
So the idea for Wear It Well, it actually stemmed from, I mentioned my grandmother, from me being raised as 3 years old, as far back as I can remember, of having to help people. So I never intended for it to be a for-profit business. Absolutely not. I set out my goal was that I wanted to do a makeover and help like a single mom or somebody that had fallen on hard times, even if it's a dad. Once a month, I wanted to do a makeover on a cancer survivor or somebody whose life had just, been flipped, turned upside down, and then help someone. That was my goal. And I went from that to, from day one, the support, the outpouring of love, the people, that we needed to serve showing up. So I always knew that this wasn't going to be a for-profit. From the beginning, it was a ministry, a way to give back, a way to help someone along the way, even if I was on in the midst of hard times myself, I always just had that desire to give back. And I've always done that. Even since a small kid, like I said, helping my grandmother as a teenager, volunteering, as an adult, doing fundraisers for coworkers who fell on hard times. It's kind of like God designed this path for me. And it took, about 40 years, for me to manifest it, and bring it into existence. But all things have worked together for the good. And I'm extremely proud of being an entrepreneur, but at the same time, more importantly, being a nonprofit and helping make an ultimate difference in my community.
Well, Wear It Well is clearly doing that. And I was super excited to interview you because this is our first nonprofit.
So, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's different, but, like I said, business is business. We still have to pay bills. We still have to, do our marketing, our brand awareness, everything. So, the big thing is, although a nonprofit and a for-profit business, is obviously two different horses, but at the end of the day, it's still a lot the same. We still want to have the best products, the best services that we can provide, and just take pride in continuing to grow.
Definitely. I hope girls can see that if they want to be an entrepreneur, it doesn't have to be for profit. They can definitely go down the community route.
Absolutely. And that's a great way to, to give back. A lot of people don't understand that concept, but you can give back in the most minimal way. I tell people every day, if you just share or like a post on Facebook or Twitter, retweet something, love it on Instagram. People don't realize just a very small gesture can go a long way, and it can help. Because we've got many calls of somebody saying, I saw a share on my friend's Facebook page. I didn't know anything like this existed. So we know it works, and I'm just very proud of the progress and that God chose me for this journey.
That's amazing. So if you could give a piece of advice to a girl who feels like she's too young or too inexperienced to start a company, what would you say?
My bit of advice would be to know who you are, because you got to know who you are and what you stand for. And whatever it is you decide to do, begin with the end in mind. Thinking like this: if I want to be a business owner, whether I sell sweets, whether I sell clothing, or whether I do nonprofit, I can do anything I put my mind to. So my advice would be to them to begin with the end in mind, meaning that if you begin with the mindset of wanting to be the best in the business, or wanting to be the standout, from the crowd, or the cut above the rest, if you begin with your mindset that I'm going to do this, whether it takes me 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, never ever give up, but just have that persistent attitude about it. That would be my word of advice to any young girl is you got to stick with it.
Definitely. That is a great thing to follow.
Yeah.
And then what would you say is the most important first step in starting a company, especially as a young entrepreneur?
The first step is doing your homework, meaning education, research. Just say, for instance, if you wanted to provide hair for hair loss people, research that. What do you call it? Research who's doing this now. What are the pros and cons of it? Where can I find my products? Wholesale, so I can make a profit. That would be the big thing that I would say. Definitely research, do your education, and not to say or discourage anyone, because a lot of people say, well, everybody's doing t-shirts, or everybody's doing makeup. That's fine, because everybody's not like you. So when you do your research, the big piece of advice I give to young girls is dig deep inside of you and say, okay, there are 13 girls in my school who are doing t-shirts. What can I do with my t-shirt business that makes me stand out? What can I do, to set me apart from the rest? And that's pretty much the advice I would give, because, it's just like you go to the mall, you got 30 stores in there, they all sell clothes. But There are some who are better quality than others, there are some who have better prices than others, and the list goes on and on. So if you do your homework and you know what you're getting into before you get into it, you're not going to be blindsided by, oh my gosh, I didn't realize, a bundle of hair costs $500. I'm not going to make a profit. You won't be panicking and freaking out. You'll know what you're doing on the front end, and that will help you in the long run.
Definitely. It's incredibly important to be prepared. I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier, I know both your grandmothers were your great inspirations. You mentioned earlier a mentor. So do you work with a mentor or business coach right now?
I do. I actually have, oh my gosh, yes, my mentor is everything. And that's another, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's very important as well. Again, I know I referenced that there's no one person who knows everything, but what I will say is my mentor has been very, very instrumental in, me not going down the wrong path, or, because like I said, you want to visit with someone who's been there, done that. Not necessarily, they don't have to be going and doing what you're doing, per se verbatim, but my mentor has been everything to me. She's even made comments like, okay, you're doing too much, you got to slow down, you got to, and then, so it's very important to have someone who's been on that route and who has some time spent in it, and they can actually help you with a lot of their do's and don'ts and the paths, not to go down. And they can also give you advice, as to, hey, I didn't take this leap of faith, when I started 20 years ago, jump out there and try this. I see what you're doing, it'll work for you now. So yeah, my mentor is everything.
Definitely. And you're acting as a mentor to the young girls now, but I hope they can find their own too, because they are very important.
Yes, very important.
So when you accomplish something, or maybe your most satisfying moments you talk about, what do you do to celebrate?
I think my main thing for celebration is sharing it. I actually earlier today got a partnership, and I immediately texted my family group and my Wear It Well groups and went, oh my God, God is showing out. We just got this huge partnership, a national partnership. So I celebrate by sharing the good news, and also with that, hoping it motivates others. People get stuck in, oh, it didn't happen for me this time, So I like to share with a intent of motivating and helping someone else, think, okay, it didn't happen 5 years ago, but it happened today. So that gives me hope that it can.
That's wonderful. And congrats on your partnership. That is so exciting.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So our last question is, can you share a funny story from your career?
Well, I can tell you this. We do a lot of partnerships as far as Wear It Well, and we partner with a group where on Christmas and Thanksgiving morning we feed people. We deliver plates to the jailhouses, all this stuff. So this is the funny thing for me. We're always branded wherever we go. You're gonna see Wear It Well, love the skin you're in, the logo, something. So one of our guys delivered meals to a jail. So I get a card in the mail, and this group of people that the organization we partner and volunteer at, they've been doing this for like 30 years now. Wear It Well has existed 3 years. And we get this card going, thank you, you guys have been doing this, for 30 years. So I was just like cracking up going, no, this is not us, we didn't do this, but it was funny because I learned a lot of lessons, through the humor is, okay, they saw the shirt, they saw the logo, and he dropped it off. Although his verbal messages, we're with this group, and we're delivering these, but all they saw was Wear It Well. So that was funny that we kind of got recognized for, for somebody else's establishment. So that probably would be one of my funnies.
That's a great story to tell.
Yeah.
So do you have any last things you want to say, or any other pieces of advice for the girls?
Yes, I just want to say to the girls, my last piece of advice is, you can do anything you set your mind to. The only thing that's stopping you is you. And the final thing I want to leave, I say this, of course I preach Wear It Well, regardless what's going on, we preach love the skin you're in, but one of my favorites is get up, dress up, show up, and never give up. That would be my advice.
That is awesome. I love all you're saying. That's and especially.
Thank you. They're borrowed quotes and probably half tweaked and whatever else. But whenever I hear something that's meaningful, I always try to share in some kind of context or form with someone else.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad you share all of this with us today. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you. I just want to say, thank you for having me. Thank you for even just checking out Wear It Well enough to feel that our organization is one, that you wanted to spotlight the founder, the entrepreneur of this organization. So that means a lot. It speaks volumes. And just thanks a lot for having us as a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing everything.